But if they can learn how to get that wrist in it, it makes it a lot easier for them. Thanks. Chip. So what happens is you want to make sure that you break it down for them again. The marking idea, it's 10 seconds of just give it all you have. Just go for that one time. Going through that mark. And a lot of times using the terminology. When you say, what's a mark do? Mark, what's a mark? You might know what a mark is, but you have to explain over and over again. A mark is the defensive position. You're going to stand and guard the person. Where do they want to stand when you're marking? That's the next hard thing. Where do you want to stand in basketball? If you think about, what did your coaches ever tell you in basketball if you ever played? Did your coaches ever tell you where to stand for basketball between something and something?
Your player that you're guarding in the basket.
Yeah. So in ultimate, where do we want to stand? Between person and, it could be open space. And ideally it's open space, but sometimes it's, well, if we're throwing lanes, we're trying to, so you're going, but it's, do you want to really go there yet? If they're, depending upon what, right, and that's what it's, but you start to think, that's how I can apply it, that's how I can change it and modify it for the Learn to Compete clinic. So I want to work with the kids, and now we're forcing. So we're forcing, backhand. And I'm approaching you, okay, so, you need to get up. Sit right over here. This is where we're going to do the mark. So he's standing right there, and I have to mark him. So hold it. So I'm assuming the way he's holding it, let's say he's going to throw a flick. Okay? So right there, I can say, all right, he's holding it in his right hand. And then we're saying, we're going to force backhand. How would a kid know to force backhand? Where do I stand on him?
You see what his flick side is, and you go that side.
That's not right. So that's what you're kind of looking at. You see somebody holding something, so we start talking about forcing, like you want them to force it to throw it to one direction. So if I'm going to run up, I'm going to stand here, forcing his backhand. And that's kind of something, you don't realize it, but it's those little key things that you look at somebody and say, we want to force this or force that. So on mark, that's like the next step in marking. You might say, okay, we're going to mark. All right, so now, we're going to take this, turn this around a little bit. You still stand there. Now I'm going to put a hula hoop behind him. We're going to start putting some things together in like when we're doing the scale. I'm going to go up and mark him for 10 seconds. When I get to stall, my stall counts, 8, 9, he can't get off, he can't get the disc off. So what should he do? Dump. Why is there a hula hoop behind him? That's the dump. Okay? So what happens, you might have 30 kids. You can't have 30 people ready to dump the 30 kids, you have 15 groups. You have 15 groups paired off that way. You might put 5 hula hoops back over there. They can pick whatever the heck the hula hoop they want to throw it to. But if I'm over here and I'm going to mark on him, and I'm out here and I'm stall 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and he's like, oh no, I can't find anybody open. So what are you going to do then? You get it back and it's like 8, 9, and you would dump it back to his area. We switch our roles. I pick up the disc, he goes over there, we switch our roles, and you go through that kind of stuff. It's just to learn because you know what? I can't find it. Oh yeah, I have a dump. I go ahead. So thank you so much. So here's what we do as what I've done with the coaches. You have your helpers that come out. So you have the kids that are doing the roles. So let's say we put this all together now. So we're taking the throwing, we're taking the marking, we're taking the dump pass, we're putting this all together bit by bit by bit. I haven't gotten into cutting yet. But as you're putting these things together, what you do is if you have a high school student, a college student, a volunteer parent, whoever's going to be there, who is competent enough that can catch it and throw it, those kind of things, a kid who's younger will be, if they see like, I had a, what's the North Carolina team's name? North Side, Dark Side? Okay. All right. So, Sam Shearer, is it Sam? Shealy? Yeah, Shearer. Yeah, he actually helped with Leesville. He was doing his teacher. He came like for 2 practices, but he apologized because if you're Brian, I'd like to come out more, but I can't. Those 2 practices, he was golden to those kids on the Leesville High School team. You played for them? So anything that he did, they were like, they listened to him. And they were like attentive to that. So you have to get those kids eating out of the palm of your hand. Like you have to see, like even though you might not know how to throw really well, don't try to huck it down the field. I can't do this that well. I can't throw this one. I can do a backhand and I can do my flick. But if you can do it well enough that they understand that, hey, you really know what you're talking about. We respect what you're doing. Then what happens, you start doing your scrimmage or skill kind of idea. So you run through the ideas. Who says that we have to scrimmage with a team 7-on-7? Just scrimmage with 5 kids and no defense. Why play defense? So what's going to happen is they're now learning, so now we're going to take the basic breakdown. You as the coach on the field are always the designated dump person. So what happens is this. You start counting. Stall 1, stall 7, stall 8, 9. Okay, no, you threw it to nobody, throw it back to me. They throw it back to you, you set up again. What do they always talk about in soccer for little kids when they're 4 and 5? It's like a magnet, they all follow the ball. It's like, they follow it. What happens in Ultimate when they're younger? They all want the disc. They all don't spread out. So they're all like this. They're all cutting in the exact same location. So what's happening is we start taking this and breaking down the field. Saying, okay, here's your section, here's this section, here's that section, and breaking it all down. So they're all going to different sections of the field. So you can control, that's why I like being the on the field. We have an observer in Ultimate. You can be the field on the coach on the field. Say, okay, Leslie, go over to the right over there again. Okay, move over. Okay, move it. Okay, you're too close to spell. Okay, and then you have to spread it out so they're not all bumped on each other. So that's why these work well. This or taking a whole bunch of these cones and putting them in different spots. You put 7 cones. You always have the same starting spot. So think about it in football. Football has set paths that they're going to do. They're going to call it blue 42. Blue 42, they have set plays. You take a bunch of cones, I'm going to put one there, one over here, one over there, one way over there, one over there, and a dump behind it. And I'll say, all right, ready, go. The kids have to go to one of those 7 spots. And when they get to one of those 7 spots, if there's no throw or they don't get it, they have to move to another one within 2 seconds. I'll be like, stall 1, 2, they got to move to another one. And if they run to it, they have to be moving, and they have to get to another one quick. But what should they be doing when they run to their next spot? Where should their eyes be? On the disc. On where the disc is. So let's say this is here, and I move it up to this spot now. This is my new spot. That one's now left open. They're still moving. So it doesn't have to mean that we're moving upfield. You might be working in a box and moving it around that way. Just having the kids marking, not marking yet, but just having them moving. Moving around in different spots. So that's going to tie into the next phase of cutting. How do you teach kids about cutting? 4 cones, the wonderful world of 4 cones. You can do the letter C, which is the C cut, where you're starting to go from one spot, here, here, here. So if I have why don't I have you guys, everyone stand over there so you can kind of see this and see it from my perspective. We're going to go through this. All right, so I went back to earlier on about the 4 cones, or the 4 number cones. So if I have these 4 cones here, so when you talk about what are the key things you want to tell the kid about cutting? If we're going to cut, what is it you want to do?
Sharp, alphabetic cuts.
Right, so if I'm going to do cut, say if I'm going to do a C cut, I'm going to go from here, and my goal is to get from here to over there. I don't want to just kind of run around like that, because I'm giving away already the skills where I'm going to go to. So I need a volunteer to stand right there at that cone. Anyway, first one to go, look at that. All right, so let's say that's the person who's going to mark. The 3 things, there's things like, you speed up, choppy steps to slow down, change of direction, and then hit on the gas pedal again, or take off again. So if I was to have kids, it's like a race. So what we do at the beginning of Ultimate, you have them line up. Okay, everyone ready? Okay, put one foot in front of you. Ready, set, go. And they take that big step and they try to stride out. That's what they're going to do after they change direction and go out to the next one. So he has no idea which way I'm going to go. But if I did this, does he know which way I'm going? He does. But if I did something like this where I'm running right to him, and so it's that chop, 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 chop. Now the other thing is think about that ready position. You're ready here, you're running up and approaching, Low, chop, step, 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 change of direction. Sometimes they say you step out to the side, turn the other way, and then accelerate to the next one. So it's that C cut as you're kind of going through it. You can take this, make it wider. You can change it from a C to make it to the letter Z, do an X to the letter N if you want to, make it whatever you want to go in any direction. Make it a house, a box, add another one if you want to do it that way. What it all comes down to is you want the kids to kind of run through, chop, 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 change that direction, not give the secret away of where I'm going to be going to. So you more or less, I'm coming right at you. And if you actually, and because of time, there's so much that we could be covering, but it's the same concept that if I'm running towards him, and he was to come this way or angle a certain way, he's giving something I can kind of take off on another direction. But the more that I'm running to them, I'm cutting. It's all about sharp cuts going through that. A lot of times you get the cuts, they're just here, they stand there. Throw it to me, I'm open, throw it to me. They stand there. They actually have to understand that if I'm standing here like this, if I want the disc, I have to move to another spot. So I'm going to move to another spot, cut over this way, and then cut out again. And then look for the disc. So what's happening here now is if you come back over here, and you have the disc here, if I cut out, and I run, so you can throw it to me on the other side. I cut out here like this, my eyes are there, and I'm watching. So he could choose to throw it to me here, or wait till I throw it over here. So you're kind of working on different points. If I'm doing a V cut, same kind of idea. I come here like this, spin out, maybe I come back that way. Or maybe he waits until I come here, come like this, and then cut out, and then I'm looking for the longer cut like the way that. You can do those simple patterns, setting up the cones, manage all of those kids in that general area of whatever you're working with, and they're going to get a full workout. So you can modify it, change it. And the great thing about this, beginner, intermediate, advanced. Kids who you say, oh, you know what, hey Johnny, come on over here today. I want you to stand over here for me. You know, hey, yo Mary, come over here. I want you to go stand over here for me on this side. You can start moving the kids around, and then as the coaches that are there, you can start, okay, here's what their skills are. We're going to work with this, or here's how you can move them around and work with this kind of stuff. So it allows you to really start seeing their skills as best as you can work with them. So it opens it up, so like an assessment. You know, we don't bring them all together and say, oh, we're going to here to assess you. We want to see what we can do to work with it for next time we get together. And then every time we get together, it's always a recap. Hey, remember what we did last time? Remember how we did this? What is it called when we do this? What is it called when we do that? Oh, it's cutting. Right. So what happened? Why do we cut? That kind of stuff. And then eventually we work with having someone marking, following them as they're going to go through. So now we're going to go back through. He doesn't have this. He's just the person I have to mark. I have to stay with this person. So where do I want to stand when I'm marking him? Do I want to stand facing him this way? Or do I want to stand over here and just let him run around over there? Because what happens is this. I've watched too many times. When you played your clinics and things like that, you watch the kids, they just keep running. They just keep running. I'm open! I'm open! Have you seen it? So they just keep running, 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 and you're like, what are you doing? I'm getting open. But you're not even watching where the disc is. So you want to make sure that they know here's where the disc is, so they keep their eyes on where it is as they're doing their different motions that they're watching. Also on defense, you want to know. So we talked about if I'm marking the person, if they have the disc. We said, here's what I'm looking for. I'm watching the disc, I'm watching their eyes. How do I want to mark somebody when they don't have the disc? What's the key you want to tell them on that?
Opposite of the hand over.
So if you don't have a disc and I'm marking you right now, and you're going to be dancing all over the place, what do I want to watch on your body?
Oh,
sorry.
Hips or your belly button.
Right, hips or belly button area. Because maybe you know this already, maybe you don't know it. I'm just saying it so people can kind of hear that. It's the hips and you want to watch. You're here, and also I'm ready. I'm ready to watch you go. So if he's in a move, I'm just watching. I'm watching as he's going through it. Instead of watching this whole thing, the kids running over there and standing over. The shoulder move, the shimmy, those kind of stuff that we're going through. That kind of stuff. So it is those simple things, those steps that you don't realize that that's what you have to do. So you have the kids just marking and moving down. Same thing with the cones. We can take the same kind of concept, and once they have this pattern, you can now open it up where they're now going to do that cut. Now it goes from here here, and then they kind of just cut and come out this way, working on the lead throws. I do those kind of things. So this is just a basic foundation that you can interchange, modify it, make it harder, easier, whatever you need to for different examples that you can kind of be working with the kids. Kind of making sure I have to hit all the different spots. So once we go through this, what I want to run with you guys really quick here, and that's why I have you all standing up, because it makes it more fun this way. Let's do. All right, so I'm going to need you to each go on half. Break yourselves up. So we have 2, 4, 6. Yeah, 3 on one side, 3 on the other side. We have 2 baskets in the middle, purple and a black basket. And I'm going to put a whole bunch of these little discs on each side. So each of you just break yourselves off into each half there. And here's what your goal is. I'm going to put these little discs on the floor. So we have 3 on one side and 3 on the other side. The scenario is you have to throw it, because they're smaller here, throw it from behind the pool noodle. Okay, so you have these imaginary lines. I'm just going to take these pool noodles because I have here. I'm going to have these. But what you're going to do is it's pretty much just a quick pick up and toss it. You're going to pick it up and just toss it. Everything's going to have to be, for what you're throwing right now, everything has to be a backhand throw. All right, so it's going to be a backhand throw. And what's going to happen is the 3 of you are going for black. 3 of you are going for purple. Okay, once you have every single disc that you have, let's see, we have 2, 4, 6. Once you have 5 discs inside of your color, because I can do that. Once you have 5 discs inside your color, what happens then is you take a step back. So let's say you had the first one would be the green, then the next one would be the blue. So if you guys would start at green, then you would move to blue. This is another way to have the kids competing, working on fundamental skills, tossing to a designated target. Using their discs, maybe you have this that's set up, 2 cones set up in different spots. Doing it that way. Okay, and you'll make them think. Just say ready, set, go. So you have some kids that focus on that. Run out of them, you have to get more. Once you have 5, you run out, you have to go get it, bring it back again. Once you have 5, you grab 5 and you move back to the blue. You have 5 in, yep. You have 5, you can now get in the blue. So the goal is to now get 5 in from that blue line. Stop there. So now, what have we just done? What have we just done? Like, think of, you're like, yeah, we just threw a bunch of frisbees on that, but now think about it the kids were doing. The competition, moving, the wrist they're going through. Throwing these, but did you feel the difference of throwing these? Yeah, you really had to be more finesse. Not just take it and chuck it. You really had to have the finesse. So that's the same concept, that when they start using this, don't focus on the chuck as far as you can. Put a hula hoop in the middle. Have the kids, you can even have 4 corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 teams come in the middle area like that. They're taking it and they're just throwing it in. Just tossing it in there. You know, however you want to break it down. I mean, I'm not going to control how you do it, but you can come up with the ideas. Normally I just have people sit down and start writing your ideas down. I always say, like, take an index card, write down an idea of how you would call it. There's your activity for the day. That kind of stuff. If you break down your lessons into what do we want to accomplish today. We want the kids always to make sure we're getting cardio with them. So they're moving, they're getting that cardiovascular endurance. A lot of times, just the arm strength. Just getting that muscular strength, the throw, because they don't have that muscular skill. It's not easy for them just to throw it down that way, but the more they can do that repetition as you're doing it, eventually what's going to happen with them is after they keep throwing it and working on that stuff, they're going to learn about that skill. Work at the skill, they're going to have to focus on something, they're throwing, and they're picking it up and scooping it up. So you can now then say, we're going to do catching the first week, or just throwing for the first clinic. Now we're going to go into primarily from throwing into focus more on catching. But catching is going to also incorporate our cutting, so catch and cut. And then you might go back to the throwing and make it more advanced and kind of layer everything. Because even though the kids come back to learn to compete multiple times, they don't know it all. Or if they do know it, they get frustrated because they're like, oh, we want to play with this kid and we want this ultimate. So put together that team of maybe those kids that you can isolate. Say, here, let's work with these kids who have this particular skill. Our goal, I mean, I know at Triangle Ultimate, they really want to grow the sport, to have the next kids coming through. I think, Leslie, what is the age? So the leagues don't start till 16, or is there
The adult leagues are
adult
16.
league? But for kids, when do they do the
We have a lot of school-based leagues, and over the summer, our youngest
summer
is
games?
U13.
But nothing during the, I mean, school-based leagues start at the high school level though, right?
We have middle school as well.
So there's middle school, okay. So there's someone that's the elementary age group, there really isn't anything there. But the learn to compete, some parents can't make the commitment for so they come and they say, we're gonna play on the Sundays. We're gonna show up and do that. So how do you make it competitive for them? By breaking it down as best as you can, kind of working through those different skill levels as we go through it. So it makes you just start to think, okay, how can I use this? What can I do with this kind of stuff? How can I make the kids pivot? Those kind of motions and stuff. And the Rise Up video series that they have there has a lot of those kind of ideas that you can watch and break it all down. What I'm doing is just kind of giving you the tangible, here's something you can take. Here's how you can do this. Here's how it's worked. You know, really getting to know the kids quickly, assessing their skills as quickly as you can, breaking it down. Don't always just, you're going to have that one kid that's going to, this is like maybe the first time they're going to be exercising. Like the doctor said they need to do something. So soccer, we don't want to spend a lot of money for shin guards and stuff like that, so parents sign up for Ultimate. Because it's just a disc and running around. You don't want them going out and spending all this money for a whole bunch of other stuff. You want them to kind of enjoy what they're doing. So the best way to enjoy it is to not show up the first week and have the kid who's been playing for 4 years take the frisbee and go and then smack them in the face and they don't come back again. But then how do you deal with those kids that don't know how to throw it, or the kid that only knows how to? So the best way is for you to physically practice it. And as I say when they do a presentation, they always say, video, record yourself, see what you sound like, see what it's going to look like. Well, the best thing you can do is take a disc and throw it. See what it looks like when you say, here's how you throw a flick. And if you do this and the thing goes like this, and it doesn't, well, maybe I don't want to be the first person to do that. So what I do is I will assess, if I had you guys with me, I would say, hey, guess who I'm going to call into, and I'll use, they're my two Vanna Whites right there. Okay, and that's literally what I would do. I would pull from what I have. That gives you now the skill of, okay, I feel comfortable doing this now, because this is my element, this is what I can do. I'm really good at being the conductor. Bringing you in, saying, here's what I want you to work with, and those kind of stuff. But the more that we can engage it and change it around, you'll show up to your clinics with, oh, we're going to do this, this, and this. Come with like 30 this, and this. Because it might be raining, you get that full moon night where every kid's doing everything under the sun, and you just don't know what to do with them. So all the clinic places have hula hoops that they're going to have. They all got hula hoops, the discs,
They'll
and the
learn to
cones.
play clinics well.
Okay,
Yes.
right. So you don't need to go running out and go out and run laundry baskets. The other thing I've used is I've run around people who throw out their cat litter boxes. Not cat litter, the buckets for cat litter stuff. They're great for just chucking things inside of it or hit the bucket. 2-liter bottles of soda emptied out, put sand in the bottom of them. Those are your hit targets. Kids got to throw it, try to hit that target, knock it down. I don't want you to have to lug up your car and have a bunch of more stuff on there. Just trying to think of alternate things to kind of go through. Seeing what I've been there. All right, so we've kind of covered a lot of different things. The other thing that I haven't really kind of gone through, which can just change, is just your basic rotation of the skill stuff. And I've kind of touched upon it a little bit, where we have the 4 cones. The 4 cones work out really well because you can have the kids just working on running and cutting. Eventually, when you go through it, though, is that you tell them, when you get past this cone, make sure you are looking, because Johnny is going to be throwing the disc to the open space. So you get the kid that runs like this, still looks like this, here comes the disc, smacks him in the back of the head, and hits him on the head. So you want to have tangible areas where if you know that they're going to be running to a spot, you might put a taller cone. So when he gets to the cone, you're going to take the disc and they're throwing it to open space. The other things that we're going to be working through, and simple stuff, is we talked about throwing and catching to each other. So if I take the disc and I'm throwing it to you, and we're just doing the la, throwing it back and forth to each other. Okay, this is exciting, we're throwing it back and forth to each other, no fine, no things like that. Now eventually what we're going to do is, now after I throw it to you, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn, run back, turn again, and as I come to you, I'm going to come through because we talk about what do you want to do to the disc? Strangle it or attack it? Say attack it. You want to come out and go like, ha! You know, jumping that way. That's why I always tell them when they have a disc like this, they drop it down and go, ha! You know, karate. It's like, okay, now jump! Ha! And they jump forward on it. The more elaborate I make it, the more that you get them engaged on. So what happens is when they're running one way, they're spinning around, I want you to attack the disc, like jump back as it would be coming that way. Then eventually that same kind of concept can go into, if I'm throwing it to you this way, instead of going back here and running back this way, maybe I run like this and come over this way and attack it this way. And then then she'll run out and cut this way. So what we're doing is as we're moving down the field, we're moving down the field, cutting, 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 and then we come back. Just moving the disc. I've watched a lot of kids in the Learn to Compete that they cannot stand across from each other and throw it accuracy. It's difficult because they're so used to being really far away from each other. But just that simple dump passes of just tossing it or just looking at that way, working those simple skills that then you're going to go through. Those little skills and those simple stuff as we have it through. So I'm going to pause for a moment and I'm going to ask around, what things do you want to hear ideas about that you deal with in your clinics? And you say, hey, we deal with this, what would you suggest about that? Or, you know, I like how we did this, what were some other ideas we can kind of do that kind of stuff? Because I covered a whole bunch of different things, and a lot of what I wanted to do tonight was just to show you stuff, saying here's how you can do this, here's how you can do that, if you think about this, if you think about that, or I had no idea what Ultimate was really about, I just want to hear about it. And this guy brought all these toys to play with, this kind of stuff. So any questions that you might have or concerns or things that you want to know about, how you might want to apply different ideas, or questions you might want to say, hey, we're going to be dealing with this, how do you deal with that?
I mean, one of the biggest things with the learn to play is that, of course, it's such a wide age range that you end up with, you know, anybody 7-year-old and some 12-year-old, and it's like just some of the things that you can do to help. And you touched on it earlier, but just more activities that help big kids realize they can help little kids, or like how do you do things like making sure that everybody touches the disc in a game, like like when you start scrimmaging or doing a drill, or
What will happen is we will, for examples for that, is there's always a new handler every time.
Okay.
So you never have the same handler. Give every kid a number.
Yep.
So you have, okay, number 1, your handler, 2 handler, 3 handler. And it's for that, wherever they number on. Now, the flaw in that is that you have, as the coach or the observer, have to keep track of that. So you have to make sure once you get to know the kids' names, you designate the handlers. Now, what has to happen is that it's just like what I'll say I will designate roles. This is say if I had, in my stop motion animation, I'll say, this person's the director, this person's the puppeteer, you're the photographer. All right, so here we go. You two are the handlers. You're going to be the cutter on the right side, you're the cutter on the left side, and I'm going to designate what's going to happen. So right now, until I say switch, you are going to be always the same 2 handlers. But he can't throw it! I don't care. They're going to be the 2 handlers right now. You have to assign roles, because if you don't assign roles, it's going to happen. And it's the mindset of what you're coming across for Learn to Compete. In Learn to Compete, the kids it's the same kid, picking up the same way, throwing to the same friend, setting up. My son and I got in trouble this past Sunday. We played in the co-ed league. And understand, I was excited about playing with my 16-year-old son. But Melly and C4, who are our team captains, they said, Bryan, come here. We love what you did. You gotta wait for us to catch up with you. Because my son picked up the disc and he threw it to me. He spun around, did something, I threw it back to him, and I was in the end zone, he was throwing it back again. The rest of our team was still coming up the field. Like, we just took off, and I was like, yeah, I forgot about that. So you are going to have that mindset where the kids want to do the same exact thing. So you have to assign roles as best you can. One way we've done it, I've actually given the kids, this is where we've done basketball programs and stuff, wristbands with numbers on it. So they're designated numbers, but you don't have to go that fancy, but just give them a number. But when they're younger, remember their number. Hey, I gave you number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What you have to do then on the roles is if you have a 12-year-old and a 7-year-old, you might have to assign those 12-year-olds to be, maybe they're the handler. You have to fluff them up. You got to put them on a pedestal and you're gonna say, "You are the great," and you just build them up so much. Have them be your helper. Oh, I need a helper. Can you get me that disc over there? Hey, can you put the cones over there? Once they have that kind of mindset, but you also have the 12-year-olds who are just tall, who can't throw for their life, or can't catch. So how do you work with that aggressive? So when you do if you do go to, and this is why I do the no defense yet, just play offense, then eventually work on defense. And when you mark, the person who's marking them is the identical skill sets as best as you can, because you're not going to be able to perfection it and the numbers that you have doing that way. But if you were to do a drill where we're just going to have the handlers here, all right, everyone, we're going to do, we're going to break off, we're going to stack. Well, forget the stacking right now. You just want them running the spots. So you're going to have them. So if someone's within, that's why we use the hula hoop. If someone's within your hula hoop space, you're too close. So you need to move to another spot and get open. And when you're there, you're going to look to see if they throw the disc to somebody else, then you move to a new spot. So that's kind of other ways about doing it. So a lot of times it's going to be, it's a little bit more on you, but the more that you can actually break that down with that 7 to 12-year-old age group, I've watched it, I've seen it different ways. You're going to have the 12-year-old who starts getting frustrated. Because what's Learn to Compete, Leslie? What's the youngest for that?
10 to 14.
So it's 10 to 14. So if you get that kid that signs up for Learn to Play, and you think they should be better off in Learn to Compete, push them over there. Because that might be better off, but maybe the kid's really not confident in what they're doing, so you kind of keep them all back together doing it that way. You're thinking.
I liked the catching drill that you went through. What other ones? I had a 14-year-old who would not get in front of the disc at all, and I couldn't come up with anything other than throwing it to him as often as I could. And that was a great idea. What other ideas do you have that I can put in a bag of tricks, basically?
Bag of tricks for catching thing is going to be that confidence. Maybe you don't need a disc. I mean, my gosh, you can take this disc and you guys probably have really strong throws. You probably can take it, probably whip it really hard. It's that first instant that something they just
hit one in the nose.
Yeah, hit the nose. Right.
And then you wouldn't. Everything
is the side.
It's this way.
Yeah. So it's going to be a matter of understanding that they're going to have to learn. It's going to have to build the confidence again. So a lot of it's going to be, if you can take something where it's a soft. I brought Beanie Babies before, a stuffed animal, and I'd say, hey, just catch this. I'd chuck it at it. It's similar to this. Well, I'll take this and just throw it. I mean, it's not a hard thing. I mean, it's just, all this is, but it's something tangible that you can take it and just toss it. And eventually, after a while, it's hitting against my body. It's hitting that. Like you have to build something of confidence in them again. Whether it's taking it out of a bag, filling it up with a bunch of stuff on it, but something to that size. Even this thing here, which is that. I mean, it's kind of an awkward thing, but it's something that they don't feel that's going to hurt them because that was it. They had the experience, whacked them in the nose. They don't want to go anywhere near it again, and they're going to move away this way. But if you